Hello, welcome back to the channel. This is the second episode of Jake Recommends. Today, I will be talking about the 2014 film Gone Girl, directed by David Fincher and starring Ben Affleck and Rosamund Pike. First of all, this film is immaculately directed. David Fincher is a fantastic director, of course. He's directed one of my favorite movies, The Social Network, and the performances in this movie overall are excellent. Ben Affleck is my favorite, and this is the best I've ever seen him. This role is very challenging because of the nature of the character. He has to be subdued and subtle, but also in a way that you feel let in on his thoughts through the subtleties of his performance and through his eyes. The writing and the performance keep you guessing and bounce you back and forth between being on this guy's side and maybe being suspicious. This movie, of course, is about a man whose wife goes missing and he finds himself at the center of a lot of suspicion and a lot of controversy. Getting back to the performances, Rosamund Pike is also excellent. She was nominated for an Oscar for this movie, which I think is deserved. I'll get into her character more when I get into spoilers. I will warn you before I hit that point. There are also two really surprising casting choices of Neil Patrick Harris and Tyler Perry. I thought they were both great. I've heard people critique Neil Patrick Harris's performance, but I thought he suited the role fine. I'm a big fan of sort of weird casting choices, sort of thinking outside the box when it comes to casting, and I dig that. The story is so enthralling. I loved the writing. I believe the person who wrote the novel also wrote the screenplay. It's a thriller that is genuinely thrilling. I was on the edge of my seat the entire time, and the story is told in a unique way, with flashbacks and not quite, I wouldn't say jumping around in time, but they use time in a really interesting way. All of the characters are very, very interesting, like I said, and you feel really let into their thoughts through these performances and through the writing, of course. It's hard to go too much further without getting into spoilers, but just know that it's a big recommendation from me. I was really excited about this movie. I wish I had seen it sooner, but I suppose I was 14 when it came out, and this movie is very much rated R. But with that being said, I'm going to hop into some spoilers. So, Rosamund Pike's character, that's a challenging role as well, because you have to jump from being this very likable person who all the guys are so into and is very charming and to being sort of this sociopath towards the second half of the film. And I thought it was so interesting that the film lets you in on what actually happened with more than an hour left of the story. So a lot of the thriller elements don't come from not knowing what happened. It comes from wondering if she's going to get caught, if he's going to be sent to jail and sentenced for a crime he didn't do. And so that's where a lot of the thrilling aspects come from. It's not a thriller movie that I feel like I've seen a lot of before. It's so well written and so well directed. And thematically, it has a lot about, you know, how you change in a relationship with a person and how other people change who you are while you're trying to be someone who they want you to be, or them being who you want them to be, understanding the true nature of who a person is in relationships, and also understanding that things aren't as they seem, especially when it comes to TV in this movie. Both sides of the story aren't being presented in news and in interviews and things like that. So it's a really thought-provoking movie. It's a movie that I will definitely want to rewatch at some point because it made me think. It kept me on the edge of my seat. Now that I know how the story ends up, rewatching it is going to be so interesting. There's so many shocking moments, like the moment where she slits Neil Patrick Harris's throat, that just had me and my family who I watched this film with completely shocked. It's such a fun watch. It's just one of my favorite kinds of movies is a movie like this, that just keeps you guessing, like, genuinely. And it's a great movie for that. I think that you should go check it out if you haven't seen it for some reason, even though this movie, I remember it having a lot of hype around it when it came out. I was just, I guess, too young to watch it, and I'm glad I finally got around to it. So that's a recommendation from me. Let me know what you think of this movie if you've seen it. If you haven't, I hope you didn't watch through all the spoilers. But thanks for sticking around. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.